All right, everybody. Hey, hope you are doing well. Welcome to Hump Day. Welcome to Wednesday night. As always, glad to have you guys all here from across the country and internationally speaking. For those watching live and on here on Zoom, on YouTube, or catching the replay, we're honored to have you guys. You've got a lot of good stuff to take in tonight. Hopefully, you've grabbed a piece of paper and pen, take some notes. But we're honored to have you guys taking time on your busy schedule to join us here on the U.S. Real Estate Investor Network Meetup. As always, guys, highly encourage you to check out the new website, usreinetwork.com. Go there, connect with fellow people on Meetup, LinkedIn, Facebook groups. I think we just exceeded 60 members on the Facebook group. The LinkedIn group is growing along with the Meetup group as well. However you like to network, if you don't want to be tagged into IBM or whoever handles, Microsoft handles the LinkedIn, or you want to avoid Zuckerberg, you can jump on Meetup. But glad to have you all here tonight. And for those that are watching the replays, hey, make sure you hang around. We've got some great stuff. But as always, glad to have it the third week in a row we've had this, guys. We're going to continue to crank these out weekly for you, provide content, provide a place for you to be able to share your deals and network with other investors. So honestly, guys, love to get more feedback from you on what you'd like to see covered, topics, speakers. It helps us organize. We do have the next few weeks scheduled out, and we'll talk about who's on the schedule here for the next couple of weeks. And you've got a really good one tonight here. But anyway, welcome to USREI Network. Glad to have you all here. Thank you for being here. Our focus and philosophy is to provide a space for investors to find and promote deals, raise capital, and grow as investors. We want to treat everyone with respect. All right, treat everybody with respect out there. Rudeness will not be tolerated anywhere. Okay. We want you to also provide resources across the country. Feel free to post in the groups. I want you to share. Hey, I've got a deal here, or I'm looking for help here. I'm looking for funding, or I've got a funding source. Okay, something that you control. I'm looking for a closing agent or a rep title company. Hopefully, you took advantage and reached out to some of the vendors that we've had on as highlights over the last couple of weeks. We've got a few more throughout the next few weeks, and we'll be repeating those and sharing those as we get rock and rolling. And honestly, I'm really excited. I actually am having a podcast episode, a talk with the CEO of Scotsmanguide.com tomorrow. He reached out to me, not me reaching out to him, but got some cool stuff in the works that we'll be sharing here over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, as I said, each week we feature a vendor and a subject matter expert to help you take your real estate note business to new levels out there. And if you can't make it live, hey, I get it. You can always catch the replays by going to our YouTube channel and connecting with her. About me, if you don't know who I am, I think most of you know who I am, but I'll just share it for those watching live. I've been an active real estate investor for over 20 years. WeCloseNotes.com Inc. is my company. I'm the CEO, managing member of that. We focus primarily on buying distressed debts, notes. That's tweaked a little bit here. Obviously, we've got some new things I'll be talking about, but that has led us to doing rehabs. It's led us to having rentals, cash flow, wholesaling. Love what we do and continue to love what we do. But one of the things that we do with Wednesday nights is to provide more of a general real estate investing versus the focus of note investing that we focus on Monday nights in our Note Night in America webinars. You can always check out our podcast, the Note Closer Show, Note Camp, and Note Night in America podcast as well. It was a 2014 Note Educator of the Year by Noteworthy USA, and was a runner-up finalist for the Think Realty Investor of the Year back in 2018. But let's talk about you. We need your help, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to invite others. Feel free to share the invites. Hey, I'm going to this. Part of what you guys can use these for in the post is to share content to your network. Hey, are you part of the USREI network? Hey, come network, come talk with people. We want you to share your haves and wants. Hopefully you've got a few haves and wants tonight as we get rocking and rolling in a few seconds. Obviously, we encourage you to network and connect with others. Make sure to share your LinkedIn profile or your URL. Share a little bit about you. I'm going to challenge you guys that are on here and watching this to take and create yourself record a 2-minute selfie video about who you are, what you're focused on, and then post it in the Facebook groups. I have a special gift that we'll be giving those that do that this week. We'll share that special prize next week. Okay. Share your deals, stuff that you own or have under contract. Now, the one thing we do not want, we don't want you sharing deals that you don't control. We don't want theories. Don't say you have private money if you have to go out and find it still. Okay. There's plenty of, I've bombarded with people like, hey, I have private money. When we come down to it, people don't actually have it. They have to go out and find it. So don't do that. Treat others as you'd like to have you be treated. Okay. Feel free to share your LinkedIn in the Zoom chat here so others can see it. Make sure if you're typing in the chat roll for everybody, that your chat roll is set to everyone. But check out the US REI Network website. You want to go there and see what's on the schedule. You want to see the register. You want to also go there and watch the replays, because we've uploaded the replays there from the last couple of weeks, and that's going to be a place for you to make it easy for everybody in one spot. Okay. But once again, like I said, join the meetup, join the LinkedIn, join the Facebook group so you guys can connect with everybody. So let's dive into it, give you a bit of an idea, normal setup, introductions and expectations. Talked about that. We'll dive into the haves and wants. We'll talk about the featured deal of the week. Guys, gals, as you have deals you're trying to get done, funded, closed, sold, feel free, reach out to me and we'll have them featured on the featured deal of the week. I don't care if we have 3 or 4 or 5. We'll have you guys fill it out, send me the information. We'll create a slide, have you come on and talk about it. Every week we have a different vendor spotlight or something that you guys can use in your business to help you. Like last week we had Vantage Title. Before that we've had Note Pros and Baldwin Advisory Group. If you look at also some of the vendor spotlights on the website, we've got 10K Cards, we've got Lawful and Associates, which we'll have Aaron Young speaking here in the next couple of weeks. You just confirmed with him tonight, along with a few other vendors that we use on a regular basis, like Rentometer and others out there. We'll have our subject matter expert, and then he'll leave some times for questions. And if we've got time, we don't run too far past 8 o'clock, we'll have some online networking for you. But for the most part, we run pretty close to 8 o'clock here for you. So we'll have you guys in and out. But I want to open it up for haves and wants. Once again, if you have a deal to sell or flip, a deal you're looking to wholesale, funding to provide, that would be great. We were going to have a deal on here on an apartment complex that somebody was moved, but they sold it. So they pulled it at the last minute, which is fine. Like I said, if you've got a haves and wants, you've got a deal you must own it or have it under contract. If you're looking for a deal, a vendor or funding, that'd be great. I've got a referral for that. To be specific, share your deal specifics ahead of time with me. If you've got something, make sure to share your contact information into the chat roll. That's what it's there for, everybody. And I don't know if you know this, but you can literally download the chat roll for everybody. It's something you just click on the chat roll. Should allow you to download it to everywhere. But once again, post them to the groups and treat the others with a golden. So let's roll this off. Haves and wants. I'll cover my want in a little bit, but I want to open it up for, let's start at the bottom. We've always started at the A and worked our way down. We're going to open this up a little bit. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to ask you guys, don't be surprised. I'm going to ask you guys to talk, introduce yourself. For some reason, it's not letting me add the video aspect of it. I think it's just for panelists on here. But I'm going to allow you to talk. Timothy Berry, we're going to start with you in the T's. I'm going to hit Timothy, allow you to talk, bud. So what you'll have to do if you want to come on, talk a little about what you're focused on, what you're dealing with, you'll unmute yourself. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and come on. So what's going on, Tim? How's it going tonight?
Hey, Scott, how's it going, man?
Doing great, man. Where's home for you?
I'm in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada.
Hey, one of our international investors. That's awesome.
I know, hey? Well, my wife's American. She's from Coos Bay, Oregon. So we've got a lot of hope down there compared to Canada anyway.
Exactly. Well, what are you investing in? What are you focused on?
Well, I'm investing in multifamily.
Okay.
So anything 6+. I started out with flips and new builds and that sort of thing, but I moved into the into the multifamily phase now, and I'm really looking forward to growing something more down there, apart from up here in Canada.
Sure. Any particular areas you don't want to buy multifamily in?
I don't want. Well, her family's in Washington right now, but I'm kind of looking towards Idaho, Montana, maybe Texas,
okay.
Arizona, so on like that.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure, Tim, to leave your contact information, put it in the chat roll what you're looking for. That way others can copy that over and put them in their database, so when they see something, they can reach out to you. All right.
Appreciate it, Scott.
Is this your first time here on the US REI network?
Oh no, I've been on quite a few times.
Well, I think you've been on a couple different webinars we teach, but I thought you'd been on here. I'm just making sure.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, let's go down to the next down here. Let's do RJ Santiago. Let's see if RJ will come on tonight. Ask you to unmute yourself there, RJ. If you don't want to come on, make sure you type in the chat roll. Hey, no, I don't want to talk. All right, no problem. RJ says he's unable to talk tonight. Not a big deal. Let's go to Richard Schloke. I think I pronounced that properly. Richard, ask you to unmute.
There you go.
Hey, there he is. How's it going tonight, Richard?
I'm fine, thank you. It's pronounced shock. I'm sorry.
Shock. Okay, my apology.
No problem. No problem.
Where's home for you?
Nevada.
What part?
Lake Tahoe, Incline Village, and down in Minden.
Okay. How are you doing okay with all the fires up in the Tahoe region?
Boy, it's been terrible. It's been really terrible. We almost lost South Lake Tahoe, but a tremendous effort from the firefighters have saved Lake Tahoe. We've lost a lot of acreage though, and it's under control so far. Maybe about 50% to 60% contained so far.
Well, we'll keep you in our prayers and thoughts when it comes to that. What are you investing in?
I remaster plan failed subdivisions.
Oh, okay.
And I'm 4 for 4 with successful attempts with successful results. And I'm looking at a couple right now that will work. And I may be looking for some investors.
Okay.
I already have the takeout developers on my wing, but I have to get them all remaster planned and approved by local governing agencies, and before I can resell them to the real buyers. I'm kind of the red tape guy.
Sure. What's your average time frame? You know, going through and having to kind of get things approved or redeveloped.
Oh, they go between 1 year to 3 years, depending. But this one will probably take a year because it's Nevada. The other ones were in California.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of there's just so many regulations in California that I've really refrained from doing any more in California. But Nevada is the spot. It's needing housing of at the medium price range, which is between 350 and 400,000, and they need great industry, which it's all pro growth here.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah.
Is there a size? Does size matter?
Does the size matter?
Yeah, as far as like a community redevelopment or acreage or lots that you kind of find a sweet spot.
Well, yeah, I just finished one. It was 50 acres. That took about 3.5 years. I pre-sold the whole property. I had it pre-sold. I always have them pre-sold before I start, but I can't sell them until I get them entitled. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I can't use the buyer's money because I have to own it before I can sell it.
No, it makes sense.
So anyway, but I got a great attorney. I got a great CPA firm that handles the money. And I just finished a 50-lot subdivision up in Northern California with 48 lots. And I sold that entirely thing to a developer for cash. And that's another success. So that'd be number 5. I haven't posted that yet on my resume. And I've been appointed as the trustee for the last 4 years for the Guernsey Trust.
Okay.
And by a great law firm in Nevada. So I have a great team, and we're honest. We know what we're doing, and it's just a matter of, making the project come under the authorities where it's a win-win.
Sure.
I did my first one. I was in college. It's named after me. It's called Ricky Court in Chico, California, and I did it my senior year of college. And I learned in development planning, it has to be a win-win scenario. The community has to want the development. That's number one. And the development hopefully can solve major problems within the community. And if it does, that's what the Planning Commission and the local applicable governing agencies are really looking for. I mean, does this project help our community? Number one. And does the community need this product? Number 2, because if those 2 answers are positive, then the third answer is that those 2 answers, mean that this project is good for the people that live in the community. And they will be, then they come to the meeting and say, hey, how can we work this out? What do you need, Richard? I mean, how can we make this thing happen? It's a failed subdivision. Why did it originally fail the first time? And what can you do to improve it and to kind of mitigate these other measures? And I just have one answer for that. It's like, I think you over-regulated it the first time.
Yeah.
You threw too many burdens on the developer. You wanted too much in phase one, and you buried them.
Right.
And you can't. It has to be a phased development, and it has to be a phased amenities coming back into the community. Or if you want them all in the first phase, you can't sell enough land to get out of debt.
Sure. So,
and you're constantly buried. Yeah.
Definitely, we probably need to have you on at a later time to talk about it, because I'm sure we're going to see some of this stuff more prevalent over the next few years. Is that your thoughts, or what?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and this master plan I'm working on now can be used from state, from border to border, coast to coast. The main thing is we need housing that's affordable.
Right.
I've never done one. I've never done a development where I did multiple housing developments where there were, golf course housing, where they were planned in orchards up in Northern California, and they came out to be, $800,000 to $1.5 million turnkey homes. That's not what we need. We need what's called workforce housing. There's
right.
teachers, there's fire people.
I'd love for you to go on here, but we got other people we got to get to tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem at all. We're glad to have you here. Make sure to leave your information in the chat roll too. We'll be glad to. This is something I'd love to have you come on and talk about later on in a couple of weeks too, and talk for an hour and discuss this, because I think people. It's one of the best ways to get things out is we see things failed across the country. A lot of people are like, I wish I knew somebody, because these can be. They take a little while, but they're very, very valuable and very profitable as well too, if you know what you're doing. So. Make sure.
Oh yeah, and it's like I say, it's needed. I mean, This is something where the communities, they need it, and we're doing a great service as we're doing this. It's just we're helping a lot of people. Amen. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. Well, be safe. All right.
And,
we'll talk to you soon. All right, let's go on down here. Let's Mr. T. Miller. T. Miller, you want to come on and share a little about who you are, what you're focused on? I'm going to ask you to mute here for you. If not, no biggie. Just type in the chat roll like, no, I don't want to talk. Ask you to unmute it. If not, we'll move on here. Okay. Let's go down here. I'm probably going to butcher this. Prabuddha Sanyal. Prabuddha Sanyal. Let me one more time. I hit a lot of talk. Come on and share what you're focused on. If you have a want or need, got a deal. Prabuddha, there you are. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We sure can. Where's home for you?
So I am based in Northern California, specifically in Pleasanton.
Okay.
So I do mainly loans related to ground up construction and fix and flip residential loans. Also do loans for commercial acquisitions. I got a network of 5 to 6 lenders, I would say, who works with me specifically. And now I have a deal, but I can't finance it because it's like equity financing. And we just do, debt financing. So problem. So.
No problem. What? And are you just doing stuff in California? Or doing it across the country?
I do in most states except the Dakotas, except North, South Dakota. We don't do Hawaii, Alaska, but across the country, I can do most of the loans. I do not focus on New York, New Jersey also. But, for other states, Texas, Florida, I'm licensed, in Florida and California. So, next year I'm getting licensed in Texas, but I can do loans pretty much everywhere.
No problem. Sounds good. Well, we're glad to have you, bud. Glad to have you here. And did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Good. All right. Awesome. Good. Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you, Prabuddha, and look forward to having you on later on. Wanted to make sure and reach out to Richard, Katherine. And here's a big thing. When you guys are typing the chat roll, when you type something, it allows for you to select who it goes through the chat roll. So make sure you post that your chat rolls go to everyone, not just host and panelists, but to everyone. So you can see that. So Richard, if you wouldn't mind posting your contact information in the chat roll, Katherine Bell would love to connect with you. I thought it would be somebody who would reach out to you for sure. So let's go on here. Let's talk. Who else wants to come on here? All right, we're gonna say that Magdalene Harvey. I'm gonna allow you to talk, Magdalene. You want to come on and share what you're focused on, what you're focused. You have a want or need for tonight. If not, no biggie. We'll move on to somebody else. So ask one more time. All right, we'll move down here to Linda Martin. Linda Martin, I ask you to unmute if you're able to talk. No, all right, moving on. Let's see here. Somebody says something. Yes, everybody make sure put your information in the chat roll. Prabhuda Timothy's asking for your information. Oh, somebody's talking there. Hi, Linda. Can you hear us?
I can. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great. How are you doing this Wednesday evening?
I'm just fine.
Good. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you're focused on.
I'm in Huntington Beach. And right now, today, I'm focused on answering a couple of asset managers who wanted more information about me and my experience. And I'm in Huntington Beach, and I mostly work in the Southeast. Notes.
You looking for performing or non-performing?
Non-performing.
Okay. Awesome. Any values that you minimum or maximum that you're looking for?
50 to 150 is a
Okay.
sweet spot.
Cool. Awesome. Good stuff. Make sure to share your information below in the chat roll too, Linda, okay?
I did. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's go on here next to Joanna. I'm gonna allow Joanna, and then Jack DeWeese, you'll be next. Joanna, I ask you to unmute if you're gonna come on and say anything. All right, Bill, no problem. I have a problem with the audio. Bill Barnett asked a question. Tim, are you the Tim Berry of Kingdom Trust? Let's go on and Jack DeWeese, allow you to talk, Jack. Jack's always got something fun to say.
Here you go. I took
How
this.
you doing this evening, Jack?
Yeah, Jack DeWeese. I'm live just south of Dallas. Working on private money brokering for single family fix and flips. Associated with a group that's got real deep pockets. It's all private money, so they don't have the feds breathing down their necks, and they can come in and do something real quick and get you funded and get you out of it. Looking for a long-term relationship, not just one-off, but do it again and again and again. And owner of the company says he'll meet or beat any term sheet that you have. Like you said, he's wanting to set up a long-term relationship. So
What kind of loan amounts, Jack? What's the minimum?
we're looking at about 30,000 and up to whatever the FHA cap is for that area. And he will make loans in the 48.
Oh, in the lower 48. Okay, cool. Awesome. Anything else you're looking for tonight, Jack?
No, that's primarily it. Just get my information out there, and we can move quickly on them and give you an answer real quick and set up a long-term relationship. So
Sounds good, Jack. Thanks for being here.
thank you.
All right, let's move on. Daryl Crabtree. I don't know if you're able to talk, Daryl. Maybe not. Okay, move on to Katherine Bell. Yes, there we go. Katherine, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Scott, I'm awesome. You?
I can't complain. How's the weather in Phoenix tonight or today? Was that you sizzling in your response there?
Right? It's too hot. I'm ready for the cool weather.
I think we all are. Stephanie's out cussing because she's getting blisters on her feet from walking around the block. It's hot here too. So tell everybody who you are, what you're focused on, and what you're looking for tonight.
So my name is Katherine Bell. I am the president of my company, Titan Impact Group, and we have two divisions to our company. One, we focus on notes. We will buy notes. Send us your notes. We love notes. And then the other is commercial. We have a commercial development arm of our company, which we do commercial development of medical offices is mainly our focus, but we do also have small industrial. And then, of course, we are putting up workforce developments up in northern Arizona. So I would love to speak with that gentleman about just more about that whole fun adventure that we're having, because as we know, there's a serious shortage of real estate. So we are in that space and have been developing for several years and having a lot of fun doing it. So we're always open for investors to come and play along with us. And we say it's sending your money out there and coming back with lots of friends. So we love to, what I'm known for is adding commas to bank accounts and collapsing timelines. So we are up to a lot of things and more to come. It's very exciting.
Good stuff. Well, glad to have you here tonight, Katherine. Looking forward to, you're going to probably be sharing a deal or two here on in the next couple of weeks as well, too, from some of our conversations, right?
Yep. Super excited. We're getting the numbers together right now.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thanks for being here. All right, let's move on down here. Let's see here. That will take us, let's see here. Susan Malbin's joining us. Hey, Susan, I'm going to delighted to talk here. Susan, you're more than welcome to tell us who you are, what you're focused on. Oh, there. Did she go there? Where did she go? There we go. Hey, Susan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Where's home for you?
Miami, Florida.
Viva la Miami. How's the weather down there today?
Well, it just was pouring a few minutes ago, but now it's stopped.
Is that normal late afternoon showers, 30-minute shower, huh?
Yes.
What are you focused on? What are you investing in these days?
Notes and private lending. I've done a lot of, in the past, I don't own the properties now, but I have done seller financing.
Okay, awesome. Good stuff there. Are you just buying in Florida, or are you buying in other states?
I've bought in other states, and I don't like it.
So you just want to stay to Florida then, is that correct then?
Yes.
I understand it. God's waiting room is a beautiful place to live. Awesome. Well, glad to have you here, Susan. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Good stuff there. I think that is everybody. There's a 1213 number on here, but they're on the phone. Let's see here. How many of the lenders have lent to Canadians? Timothy Berry asks. Don't know. I'm sure we get a few answers here for if they lend in Canada or not, or if they lend to just on probably American United States projects. But you know, if you're Canadian here buying real estate, you can get a loan, especially if it's private money or hard money, because it's usually based on the deal there for you. So Jack DeWeese, that would probably be a question that he's asking you there for you. So good stuff here. We're going to dive into the featured deal of the week here. Arnie, don't go anywhere. I'm going to bring you on in just a second. This is a deal that just popped up in my inbox last night, and I thought I'd reach it out. I have a bid on it already, but I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention here. This is an investor reached out to me. It's a performing contract for deed in Macon, Georgia. It's a little house, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, just over 1,000 square foot. He originated this back in January of last year, January 30, 2020 is the first payment made. It's a 10% interest rate. It's worth $70K based on quick conservative values online. He financed roughly $30,000 on it. The borrower put $1,500 down. The monthly P&I payment is $249.27 a month at a 10% interest rate. The owner's looking to sell. He's motivated because he says there's been a tough time and he wants to get some cash. Cash is out to pay some bills and do some other things, which I think everybody's been there, done that. So like I said, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,029 square foot. That he is self-service and is not with a third-party servicer. That's one downfall on this one a little bit, but he's looking for offers on it. We have one offer right now looking for other offers. So it could be a pretty decent ROI to somebody. Obviously, I think you'd want to book it, upload it to a servicing company. I do have a copy of the contract for deed that was emailed me, scamming all the day. So if you're interested in potentially adding a performing note or performing contract for deed with a lot of equity, which means the borrowers are probably going to pay on time for quite some time. They've been on time since they originated this, I guess, 18 months ago. So feel free to reach out to me at scott@weclosenotes.com, and we'll get you more information on that there for you. So perfect. Yeah, Jack says they lend on U.S. real estate. So Timothy, there you go. Reach out to him. So any other questions? Once again, guys, any questions about the deal? If you've got a deal you're trying to move, put the network to work. Put the power of the USREI network together for you. Email me the specifics. We'd be glad to even email it out to those that have been on here tonight and in the past. Email it to me at scott@weclosenotes.com, and we'll get it out for you. We'll put a slide together and bring it to life here, even make a short mini video about it for you to use in your own market if you want. It is no cost to you. And we've got a pretty good sized database and marketing machine to do it. So you can always schedule a call with me to talk about your deal by going to talkwithscottcarson.com. That's talkwithscottcarson.com. It's my also on my title here in Zoom as well for you guys, or you can always just schedule a call at meetwithscott@weclosenotes.com to talk about your deal. All right. But what I want to do tonight is just talk about the vendor spotlight. Hang on one second here. Perfect for that. I like to pause these a little bit so it's easier for me to break it up. Okay. So tonight's vendor spotlight is something new that we're doing. I wanted to put it out. You heard several people talking about the haves and wants about, hey, they're buying notes or doing owner financing. Hey, if you've got a note, one of the things that we have just aligned ourselves with is a couple larger institutions looking for notes. We're always looking for notes as well for ourselves, but a couple new things. We're not just looking for institutional notes now. We're looking, if you've got owner finance notes, something that's newly originated on real estate, residential, commercial balances of 15K or greater. Mobile homes, land, commercial, single family, looking for performing notes. Want to encourage you, if you've got something in your portfolio looking to sell, or you have a friend or a contact is looking to sell their note, here it come up, feel free to go on over to our easy quote sheet, go to the WCN note quote, and roughly in about 10 minutes, enter the information on the notes. Make sure you got all the information, you submit it, but we can usually have a bid back to you in 48 hours or less. We've had a couple already submitted, and we had bids back to them in less than 24 hours, which we're pretty excited about. But like I said, any type of paper out there, as long as it's secured by real estate, we'll look at contract for deeds, first liens. Feel free, if you've got a performing note and looking to cash out, reach out to me on that. Fill out the information, WCNnotequote.com. Only takes a few minutes for you to fill out the information, and we'll be glad to get a bid back to you. So if you have a question about that, feel free, type in the chat. We'll be glad to answer that for you. But check it out, WCN Note Quote. That will take you right there to the quote sheet. Literally, I think it's 25 questions about the notes, addressing you, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. We'll have a bid back to you in just 2 business days for you. So we're already seeing things coming in from it, which is kind of a surprise for it to be hitting so quickly. But anyway, go to the WCN Note Quote. We'll have a link on our website here in the next day or so, but we do have the website for the quote sheet for you to fill in for you, get rocking and rolling. So check it out, WCNnotequote.com. All right. Let's do that. All right. So I also want to remind you guys, this Saturday, we do have our one-day class that I teach called Note Weekend. We'll run from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's called our Cliff Notes of Note Investing. If you're looking to learn about tapping into the tsunami of distressed debt that's already starting to hit the markets these days, feel free to check it out, noteweekend.com. $49 includes the replays, and you'll be off and rock and rolling and learn about the note side of the business, the dark side, the sexy side of being in the paper side of the business. We've been teaching this class now for every third Saturday of the month for the most part. It's one of our favorite classes to teach. Over $1,000 in bonuses included with it for you guys. So take advantage of it. This Saturday, September 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. On the note, our taxes and insurance escrow. I don't know that. Did not have that information filled out, Susan. I Don't know if it is or isn't, but it wouldn't be too hard to get that set up. It's probably not. Actually, it's not, since they're self-servicing it. They don't have a third-party servicer. It's probably not, but it would be something pretty easy to set up and make that a requirement. I know that the borrower was very friendly and is very communicative, so it wouldn't be too hard to set up and get that taken care of. All right. Moving on here. I want to bring our next, let you guys know what's going on next week here before we get to our main speaker. Next week, we have the man, the myth, the tax deed investing legend here in the state, in Texas, Mr. Arnie Abramson. And I'm going to bring him on, allow him to talk a little bit about what he's going to be sharing next Wednesday night. So I'm asking you to unmute yourself, Arnie, if you're there, or if you're just listening. There he is. What's going on, Arnie? How you doing tonight?
Wow, what a surprise. I just looked up and saw my picture. No warning, huh?
You know what? It's kind of funny how that works out sometimes, right?
That's right. That's right. Who is that guy?
He's a good-looking guy. There we go. For those that don't know,
100 years ago.
Well, tell everybody what you'll be covering next Wednesday night.
Well, an introduction to tax sales in Texas, and why it's such a good deal, and what the hurdles that you have to overcome and how to do it, because there's a lot of people, this very complicated and all this stuff, and we have ways to make it really easy. And I want to point out, this is not just for Texas investors.
Right.
It's investors from everywhere. We have investors in 5 of the 7 continents that are members of our organization that do some investing like this. But if you are in Texas, we really have some interesting things that we need to share with you that we're going to talk about. It's a learn and earn program, and it's pretty much just for the Texans because it's like boots on the ground type of thing. But it's for everyone, and it's just, what I really love about the tax sales, unlike a lot of the real estate deals that drag on and on and on, and you love it, in 30 days, we get a new deal. The first Tuesday of the month, the tax sale is over, and I can't wait for Wednesday morning to start working on the new list. So it refreshes and keeps going, and it's kind of exciting. So it's a new deal every month.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So perfect. Let's see. Looking forward to it. Jack asked a question. I have buyers for seller finance, single family notes to owner occupants. Minimum 30 days. If you do this, let me know. We'll work with you to structure the note to maximize value and second. Yeah, Jack, drop me an email. We can talk about that later on. No problem. But Arnie, we're looking forward to having you next Wednesday night. Have always exciting stuff. And we've been talking a little bit about some of the things you're covering. So I'm really, really jacked up. You guys will definitely want to tune in next Wednesday night.
By the way, one other thing. I love questions. Okay, so a bunch of questions. We love it, but I do warn you, in this particular arena, there are not a lot of short answers.
That's right. That's right. So come spend time with us next Wednesday night, and he'll cover all your questions, and we'll get plenty of time on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arnie. All right. And then, of course, after not next week, but 2 weeks, I'll actually be speaking on how investing in non-performing, how to get started investing in non-performing notes. So that's in 2 weeks from tonight. That guy will be sharing. Got some new stuff we focus on, but for the last 14 years, I've been buying, selling, investing in distressed debt. Also doing owner finance and origination stuff like that. That's how I got my cut my teeth to begin with. But looking for sharing how to get started investing in non-performing notes and why buying a non-performing note can be a good deal for you. But anyway, let's bring on. I'm going to ask him here, get rocking and rolling just a second here. There we go. We are excited to have our keynote speaker, our man with the masterclass tonight, a guy who's been investing for years. He's the author of several books, including Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? Dumb Enough to Invest. A guy that I've known for over a decade now, a good friend of mine who's just got a passion. Not only is he an amazing father, an investor, but also as a man of faith. He says that comes first for him and everything like that. But somebody who's been on the radio for years in the past and is just doing amazing things now. And so we're honored to have Mr. Bill Barnett joining us tonight. What's going on, Bill? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, brother. How about you?
Good. You can. You want?
I'm there, man. I'm there.
There we go. So, you want to start your video?
You bet. You bet. You bet.
There he is. So good stuff there, man. All right. And you want to wait for questions till the very end of the presentation. Is that right, Bill?
Whatever, I'm so used to dealing with live crowds. And so anytime anybody's got something, they run it through you. If you want to interrupt me, just go right ahead, because we'll have some fun with it. That's
the
way I've
idea.
always done it. So I don't have any issues with that whatsoever.
Yeah, so I'll monitor the questions and we'll go from there. But what we'll do, guys, you definitely want to grab a pen and paper, take some notes. Bill always has good stuff on here. And I love some of the examples. We were looking through this earlier for you. And I think you're really going to help a lot of folks tonight out there, whether they're watching us live here or catch the replay. You definitely want to watch to the very end, hang around as best you can, and we'll go from there. So, Mr. Bill Barnett, take it away, buddy. I'm going to drop my video off, but I'll be here and lurking. All righty.
You got it. I'll be listening out for you. Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being on with us tonight. And Scotty, thanks for having me again. As always, brother, great seeing you. And hey, what a great crowd tonight. You guys are the pros that are here. I'm jacked about this. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. So I'm the real estate radical. That's what I've been known for a little while now, because if you're going to do this thing, you're going to do it right. You got to get radical about it. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk fast because I got about 4 hours worth of stuff I want to get through. And Scotty said I could not go 1 minute past 11:59. So I'm going to try to make sure that I hold with that. So welcome to Radical Real Estate. And the best way to get to know me is through the people that I work with. I want to introduce you to David and Lorraine Ronquilla from right here in Arlington, Texas. And we're going to go through some numbers on a program we have. We're going to talk about later on called Deal a Day. And this is their Deal a Day experience. First of all, this is David and Lorraine, great folks from over in Arlington, fairly new to investing. They've done a couple of deals. That was about it by the time that we met, and just great folks. So let's look at what we did when we did the Deal a Day with David and Lorraine. We found a property for $86,400 and bought it. And then we turned around and sold it for $119,900 with seller financing on it. Now, the great part of what they did with that, and we had no repairs on the property. Did it need repairs? Oh, yeah. But what we said, I sat down and I said, look, here's some options for you. One of those options is you can simply take this property, and if we find the right buyer that you're comfortable with, you can wholesale it to them, to an end user. So it's not quite retail. You could have gotten a little more retail, but you're also not spending any money on it. And so they said, hey, let's go that route. And they bought it out of their retirement account. They had instant equity in the property of $33,500. Well, they turned around and got a down payment of right at $12,000. So that took their out of pocket, because again, they paid 100% out of their retirement account for it. That took their out of pocket down to $74,410. And they were looking at getting cash flow. So they got $985 a month in cash flow. And so they're a little over $15,000 a year coming in there for their, hey, Scotty, can you kill the videos on my side? It's about a third of the screen. So what they were looking for is getting cash flow out of it. They got cash flow coming in $985 a month. And their payment's $985, and they're in about $15,000 in regular income through the course of the year. They get, depending on how you write the contract, they could also get appreciation with this, which would allow them to get additional equity build up. And that really is dependent on how you structure that on the front end. And if you structure it that way, then you can also get depreciation with that. So they got instant equity, $21,510. So remember, they had like 33 plus. They got their down payment, so it reduced the equity in the property. So they got $12,000 in cash. They still have $21,510 that was remaining in it, and that yearly positive cash flow of $11,820. So in the first year alone, this property adds up to $45,000 when you calculate in the equity that they have, the positive cash flow that they got, and the down payment money. That's a heck of a deal on an $80,000 investment. So that's the things that you want to be looking at. That's the things that we do And we do some things that are pretty aggressive in the real estate world. And as we get to those later on, we'll get through those. This also, depending on what your personal tax situation is, I'm not a CPA, so I'm not going to advise you with that. But I am going to tell you that if you talk to a competent real estate CPA and you sit down and go through this, there's some additional positive tax considerations that go along with that make the deal even better. But hey, when you go into a deal that you get about 50% of your cash back in total wealth accumulation in the first 12 months, you got to be happy with that. So would that have an impact on you and your family? I'm betting that it would. No, it does on mine every time we do something like that. So real quickly now, Scotty did a nice job introducing me. So who I am, Bill Barnett. I've been an investor for 30 years now. I know I don't look that old, but I started right out of the womb. So it's been a while that we've been doing that. I've got a couple of national best-selling books with Wall Street Journal and Amazon. Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? First edition and second edition were separately national bestsellers, and another book out of that. And well, if you guys will send Scotty an email later on and tell him that you would like a copy of the book, I'll be more than happy to give you a digital copy of the book, and we'll get that out to you the next day or two. Did 7 years on the radio, nationally syndicated most of the time. So you may have heard of Real Estate Now with Bill Barnett. I was on for, again, about 7 years. LA, San Francisco, of course, here, Houston, Memphis, Orlando, all over the country there, and have been doing not just real estate consulting, but also business consulting. Because if you get in this business and you don't have a business knowledge, some type of business background or just solid footing in the business world, you can learn all about real estate and really mess your business up without having some basic footing. And so we do business coaching along with that. I also own a brokerage firm, dfwproperties.net is a traditional firm. I bought that in 2010. Think about what was going on in 2010. The real estate market was doing this. It stunk. That's when you want to be buying, right? That's when I bought a brokerage firm. And I bought that to facilitate additional value for all of my consulting clients. So a little bit about my personal story. I may be the only person that you ever meet. I'm the only one that I've ever heard of that got divorced twice in the same month. So once was from my wife at the time. She surprised me with nice paperwork. And then very shortly thereafter, within a couple of weeks, I got the same thing from my business partners. See, I come from an investment banking background, and we had set this deal up. There were three of us. We set a deal up. We had a buyout agreement that if anybody got divorced, the other two had a right to buy them out because we didn't want to be partners with somebody's ex. And I'm the guy that came up with that idea. And so I'm the guy that ended up getting divorced, and they bought me out. And as so many things happen in life, you get to a point where something you look up one day and somebody's pulled the rug out from under you. But if you've been around, you find that every cloud has a silver lining in it. And for me, that silver lining, when that happened, which seemed like it was just the world's caving in, but that silver lining was real estate. I'd been doing investment banking for a decade, and I had earlier in my life had some investment property, never really paid much attention to it. Now, when I was in investment banking, we bought some mobile home parks. We did a lot of tax liens. We flew all over the country and managed a $10 million tax lien portfolio. And so we had some real estate involvement, but it wasn't my personal real estate. It was me managing for other investors. We had about 60 million total, but 10 in tax liens, deeds, and certificates. So you find this silver lining. And so that was the idea I had was, you know what? I really love everything that we do and that I do in real estate. I think I'm just going to step away from investment banking for a while. And I put my license in suspension for 3 years. You can hold it. You can suspend it for 3 years, and it just stays in limbo. And then you got to decide whether you're going to get back in the game or not. At the end of 3 years, I was so in love with real estate, I let my license lapse, and that's lapsed. That's been my life for the last 30 years. And good Lord willing, it'll be the next 30 years as well. So the idea was, let's go buy a rehab property. Growing up, my dad did, you may be familiar with the term rolling up. And so my dad would go buy these old houses for us to move into, and they were in terrible shape, but it was the nicest house or the nicest neighborhood he could afford at the time, and bought the worst house condition wise in the neighborhood. And he and my two older brothers and I, over the next couple of years, would rehab it. And then he would sell it, take that money, roll up to a nicer neighborhood, a little bit bigger house, same terrible condition. And we'd go through that process again. And we did that about 5 times from junior high through high school. And my dad kept doing this after all of us were gone, and ended up with a 7,000 square foot paid for home with a 5-acre lake and 7 acres of land over in South Alabama or South Birmingham, and never thought of himself as a real estate investor. But that got in my blood, and I didn't really know it until I decided when I stepped back from investment banking that, man, real estate, I want to spend some serious time and do this thing. And so as the slide there is, man, I hit the go button. Now, my thought is this was the kind of real estate that I was going to be doing when I made that decision, when in reality, on the left here, that's the kind of real estate. And if you know, you've been around this thing, this is where the money is. So I've been doing rehabs and flips for years, still doing them right now. I do a lot of other stuff. This is not my only piece of the real estate world. I still do flips. I love them. I will continue to love them. It's a creative outlet that if you have an artistic flair to you at all, you're going to love doing flips. And it is all about, just like any other segment of real estate, it is about how you can buy it, what you can find it for. And that's where we come in with really figuring out how you can get the most money out of the property. Now, my very first deal, we had this great idea. I brought a partner in with me, a good friend of mine, and he and I, we were going to rehab this property ourselves. And after about 4 months, because the house was huge, so you can understand why 4 months we wouldn't be through with it yet. It was gigantic. It was, about 1,800 feet. And after about 4 months, we woke up one day and went, man, you know what? We ain't never getting out of this thing. We're going to have to get some contractors in here that know what they're doing. So we brought in some contractors and we interviewed 3 of them. We hired a guy, and the guy we hired said, well, I see the condition it's in, but I don't know who's doing this work, but I'm going to have to undo all this work to be able to do it right. So we got the privilege of making that mistake of doing it ourselves. And we spent all that time and effort and hard work doing it. Then we got to pay for somebody to come in and undo it and pay for them to redo it. Now, the point of that whole story is the deal was a great deal on the front end. And when you get into a great deal, you still walk away with cash. We still walked out of that deal with $30,000 to split between us after all of our fees and everything. And then after all of the horrible mistakes we made, because the one thing that I've learned through the years, my dad started teaching me this when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and it was, you can sell anything if you buy it right. And for real estate, that is the truest statement as you'll ever hear. So you can write that one down if you want. You can sell anything if you buy it right. And so I had been in what was one of the lowest times in my life, and I made this commitment to real estate, and things just turned around quickly and just took off from there. And like I said, that's been about 30 years now. There's nothing that I have ever done that has given me, one, more financial freedom. And we had a very successful investment banking firm, not as good as the real estate, though. More financial freedom. And then along with that, the emotional satisfaction. And one of the guys was talking when Scott was talking to you guys, had mentioned that, what we really have to do is provide great housing. And that's absolutely correct. See, I think if you're a patriotic American, and I know you guys are, but as a patriotic American, you owe it to our country. If you have the ability to be a real estate investor, you should be. We need more and more and more real estate investors in this country to make us economically strong and to help all those other families that are not in a position to be able to get a nice, safe, clean home. And that's what we focus on. So it becomes one of the few things in life that I would gladly do for free. As long as I could keep my lifestyle, I'd gladly do it for free. So don't get me wrong. I started out just like everybody else, nothing but dollar signs. But then as you go on and the money starts to come around and play with you to see who you are, then what happens is you find out that the money's the byproduct. What is it that I'm really in this business for? You hear people talk all the time about the why. What is it is your why? What's your why? What is it that really gets you out of bed in the morning, revs your engine? For me, it is putting families in homes and helping people get out of bad situations or no situations and into a home, because that changes people at a guttural level when they have a home. That's the thing that is one of the key components that has made our country so different than many countries around the world, is the ability to own property individually and it to be affordable in most cases, California, New York excluded, but in most cases to be able to afford property. And so it makes you a proud American. It makes you care about our country more, in my opinion, the more that you're involved. So I'm going to introduce you to a couple of guys here. One is Mark Victor Hansen. Mark's the co-author of all the Chicken Soup books. He and Jack Canfield. I've known Mark since '78, and that picture looks not much older than that, but I've known Mark for a long, long time. As my business started to explode, I called him one day and I was telling him about some deals. I had an incredible quarter, and it still would have been a good quarter today. 30 years ago, it was an absolutely unbelievable quarter. And so he and I were just yakking, and this was even before the Chicken Soup books came out. And we were getting off the call, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to come out to Gardendale here in the next couple of weeks, not Gardendale, Glendale. And I'm going to be doing an event at the Ritz-Carlton. I want you to come out. I want you to tell the people out there the same thing you just told me." I said, "Mark, come on. There's people in California. They're not going to care about my little real estate business here in Fort Worth, Texas. Are you kidding me?" He goes, "No, I think they will come out." I go with guys that are at a different level than I am. You know, you guys all should have mentors. I have multiple mentors. Mark's been a mentor for a long time. When a mentor of mine says, "Hey, this is what you should do," and it's not a suggestion, it's more of a, "Hey, you got to do this now," I go. And so I went out, and one of the things that happened there, we spent about 20 minutes on stage. And when it was over with, Mark was interviewing me that time. When it was over with, I got mobbed. We were right at break for lunch, got mobbed. And Mark saw what was going on. He said, "Hey, you guys just hold on. I'm coming down there." And he said, "Well, what's going on?" And everybody was wanting me to teach them what I had been doing in real estate. And so Mark said, "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take 16 of you, and Bill's going to mentor you over the next 6 months on how to buy real estate." And I was like, "Huh? You're talking about me?" Because I had never done anything like that. Didn't think about being a speaker. Certainly never thought about being a teacher of any kind. And I fell in love with that as well in real estate. One of the guys that was sitting there is a guy named Kieron Sweeney. Many of you may have met Kieron through the years. If you know T. Harv Ecker, he was president of Harv's company for about a dozen years. And so Kieron was in that group that Mark just kind of randomly picked 16 guys and gals. And I didn't know any of them. Kieron was in there. A few years later, I'm speaking for Harv, and Kieron's working as the president of Harv's company. And Harv is introducing me on an event called Never Work Another Day in Your Life. And Kieron comes running up the center aisle in the middle of the introduction. Hey, Harv, let me introduce Bill." And so he gets up and he says, "I was in this group," and he went through the story I just told with you. He said, "Bill spent 6 months on the phone with me." That was about 4 years ago. And since that time, I've made $6 million because of that man and what he taught me, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Barnett. And as you can imagine, the response was pretty well. I tried to hire him to go with me and introduce me everywhere, but wouldn't quite say. The bottom line is this: if you can make a ton of money in this business and know that you're on the right track and you're not second guessing yourself going forward. And when you do that, when you understand the systems, and we're all about systems, you can literally turn on the profit, you can turn on the deals just like you're turning on a faucet, and it flows just like that when you understand it. And one of the key things, we hear people talk about mindset all the time. Oh, you got to have a millionaire mindset. You got to have this mindset. You got to have that mindset. I'm going to say baloney, BS, stick it in your ear, pull it out the other side. Mindset doesn't make any difference unless you set your mind to making this thing work. Once you set your mind to it, your mindset becomes important. If you haven't set your mind to it, it's a waste of time. I work with people that have set their mind to be a successful real estate investor, and we mold them into filling in all the gaps for them. So they go to bed every night with a great night's sleep, knowing that they've got the real estate success blueprint working for them. Wake up in the morning, can't wait to get back to doing it again. Now, 90% of these people still have jobs. I don't have any issues with somebody having a job, especially if you love what you're doing. You start out with this thing, you start out part-time till you can provide enough income that you could replace your full-time job with your real estate income, and you have that in the bank. It's not just well enough that you made 150 or 200 or whatever it happens to be, an equivalent to what your job was. You need to have that in the bank. And then if you come and say, hey, I'm thinking about going full time, if you can show me that you've done that from your real estate business and you've got it in the bank, I'm going to say, all right, let's rock and roll and go with this thing. Because the gurus out there will tell you just enough to get you going, but you never get the full story. You never get the exact blueprint. Guys like Scott and guys like me are very few and far between that just will lay out the entire system for you and say, hey, you know what? This is what it takes, and fill in all the little blanks from you. So here it is. Most of them gurus don't want to create more competition for themselves. And it's not just investor competition. A lot of them are really afraid that you might take their system and go out and decide you want to become a speaker. So think about it. If they were to tell you everything, that's really what they're doing, is they're building their own competition. And a lot of them are very afraid of that. But let's face it, they're going to try to sell you just enough to get you involved and get you to do the next thing, get you to do the next thing, get you to do the next thing. Whenever you're looking at any kind of involvement with somebody, there's always two questions that you have to ask of the presenter. And that is, are they giving me just enough, or are they giving me everything? And when you see what they're offering, it's a pretty good idea. It's pretty easy for you to tell that which one it is. Is it just enough to get me going, but not get me there? Or is it a complete total, everything I need to get me successful, not just going, but successful in building a business? And that's what we're all about. So depending on how long it takes a lot of these guys to come out with their new product, they want to make sure they get people just involved enough to hang around until the next product comes out. So the truth is this: you don't want to be held hostage by wholesalers, agents, banks, contractors, anybody. You want to be able to be in control of your real estate investing destiny. You want a system that works for you, not just sometimes, but works all the time. And it's a system that's not going to be phased out in the next few months or is just some flash in the pan. So here's another great friend of ours that works with us, Bob Rich, and got a great letter from Bob. And it said, hey, May 31st, we picked up a $23,000 check for an assignment fee. If you understand how to do assignment fees, you can do assignments all day long, but you got to understand the process. And it's not as simple as most people make it sound, because a lot of times the real estate agents will squash an assignment fee. We know how to work with that. So they did an assignment fee. There was a picture of their checks. They put it in a contract for $255, sold it for $280 with an investment of less than $1,000. And so they had a $23,000 check. again, does that impact your family? Now, here's a lot of people probably sitting there going, well, yeah, 23,000 is nice, but hey, that's not going to change my life. It is if it's 23,000 this quarter, next quarter, next quarter, next quarter, and then it starts to be a couple of times a quarter. So what we look at is how do we augment where you are and what you're doing already? So if you've got a job that's paying you 100 a year, and it's shocking how easy it is in the world today to get to 100 grand because so many people just don't want to work. And so if you're one of those people that loves working and contributing, you can get compensated pretty quickly in the regular world. And then you start looking at, can I add another 100, another 125, another 150 a year, year in, year out with my real estate vesting, and do it in such a manner that I haven't given my family life away, that I can still have great time with my wife and kids or grandkids. And if I can do that, then that's a system that I want to look at. And that's a system that I want to be involved with. So think about 23 grand, not as a one-time check, but as something that happens for you repeatedly. And again, we usually start out with folks setting their goal for, and depending on where they are, and you guys are moving along quickly. Y'all have been around a while, so you'd move a lot faster. But brand new rookies, we set them up for doing one a quarter, and it works out incredibly well for them. So what we want to look at are what I consider the best two markets in the country, and that's Texas and Florida. They are markets that have a little bit of a false economy in them because we have a unique situation to our two states. And that unique situation is we are being flooded with people coming in from states that have absolutely horrendous tax laws, New York, New Jersey, California. And so people and businesses are fleeing those states because of the tyranny of taxation out there. And they're coming into Florida, they're coming into Texas because we have just the opposite from a tax standpoint. And so they're coming in, and that's created this massive amount of demand for housing that no matter what's going on in the rest of the country, and look, if you understand the market, you start to look at the underpinnings. One of the things that I've done for years is study the different underpinnings of the market because the market can't change quickly. The stock market can change in a sniffle, in a whiff, in a blink of an eye. The real estate market can't do that. And so what happens is there are about 6 or 8 signs, underpinnings of the market that are foretellers of what's going on with the market. Well, we've been getting signals for about 18 months now that the market was changing. Is it changing in Texas? Not really. Is it changing in Florida? Not really. Is it going to? Not really, because of that influx of people that we have. But in the rest of the country, you're going to see these things start to come into play and the market really soften. And we're way overdue having a correction. And a correction should never concern you in the real estate world because it is the natural course of business. A market gets hot, it cools off, it goes down. It gets hot, it cools off, it goes down. It gets hot, it cools off, it goes down. And if you understand what makes up that market, your real estate business is just moving. I think of it like guys that fly or sail, either one. They're never in a straight line. They're always moving back and forth. I have several consulting clients that are pilots, and a couple of them actually train other pilots for the airlines. And I was talking to one of them yesterday, and he said, you know, I looked at our computer system, and he flies the 777s, and he was going from LA to Hawaii. And he said, I was taking a new guy and getting him trained up. And I was going over some of the computer records, and in that one flight, now, of course, that's a few hours in that flight. So in that one flight from LA to Honolulu, there were over 5 million calculations for course corrections that were done by the computers, that was done by the autopilot. And So, you never, ever, ever fly in a straight line. You never sail in a straight line. The real estate business is never a straight line. So you keep adjusting. And if you're paying attention to the market, you can just stay in touch and stay in tune and stay in step with the market so that you're always got great deals, lots of deals. We never have an issue where we're looking around going, man, where's the next deal coming from? I hear people talk about that all the time. And it just highlights to me is they don't really understand the market, or they'd never be in that position. So how do you find deals that most investors say simply don't exist? So that's one of the key things that we focus on. How to find the deals when the club members, and Scott and I both love real estate clubs. First time I ever met Arnie was in a real estate investment club. I speak at clubs all the time, have been for years, will continue to. But they members of clubs get the yakking, and a lot of times somebody will start bad mouthing, poor mouthing. Well, not any deals out there. We can't find any. They're just not there. And again, it's because they don't understand the market, and we teach them how to be able to go out, how to be able to go out and continue to find deals, even when your club members are going, yep, not there. So funding techniques so that you always have a river of funding opportunity. There's so many different ways. And this is one of the great things that came out of my investment banking experience is there's so many great ways to be able to fund deals. Now, we've got some lenders on here tonight, and that's fabulous. And I heard several people talk about private money. That's my heart right there, man. I love private money. That's what I've been doing for years and years and years. I've structured over $100 million of private money notes, and probably more than that, but that's that I can count pretty quickly through the years. And it's not what I sell. It's a part of the process of learning how to be a complete real estate investor. You've got to know multiple options. You've got to have folks like her that are on the call tonight. You got to have multiple people that you can pick up the phone and are ready to move forward with you, and you know what they're looking for. So like Jack, you got to know what that guy's looking for, what the parameters are for his boss to write a check for you to do a deal. If you know that, it changes the game for you. And you can't have just one, in my opinion. You got to have multiples, because even in the private money world, people run out of money sometimes, or they get everything committed for a little while. And you don't want to ever get in a position where you're now stuck until something frees up. You want to make sure that you have the ability to move again and again and again. And commercial, as the gentleman from Canada that's buying multifamily, those are the kind of things that you look at. There's some great, incredible multifamily packages out there. We do a lot of them that are in the $5 million and under range, and they're terrific, but you got to know how to be acceptable to the lender. So we look at funding techniques. I'll give you a little fun script before we wrap up tonight. And then always how to sell your properties for the highest price and the highest profit potential possible. If I sell a property and I don't get a call from a real estate agent going, Bill, you can't sell that property there for that price, then I feel like I've underpriced it. I love premium pricing properties because we put on the best property in the neighborhood, the best property around that subdivision, without question, bar none. And because of that, we're able to go out and get the same pricing on that. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to do too much. And we never do too much. It's a delicate balance between understanding what's the right amount to do to get the top dollar without just throwing money away on a property. So we're always looking at how do we sell it for the most amount of money, and what do we do to it that's going to allow us to command that price and get it. That's the key thing, and be able to get it. And then how to make sure that you're selling your properties quickly. Now you're going, well, gosh, Bill, right now, all you got to do is have something, you put a sign in the yard and it's gone. That's true today, but it's not going to be true always. And for those of you that have been around the game for a little bit, we enjoy these times like this where the market's just crazy hot, but it changes. And when it changes, a lot of people fall away from the market. What I don't want anybody on this call to do going forward as the market changes is for them to fall away because they didn't know how to adjust their business and didn't know what to adjust their business to make sure that they were able to continue to profit from the real estate world. A couple of months ago, Scott and I did a presentation about the tsunami of seller financing that is going to be available to us going forward. Because as we see, at the end of July, they stopped the foreclosure moratorium. There's a lot of myths around that. Understand this, it's not near as big as a lot of people want to make you think it is. It's about 4% of the market is property that is in forbearance. That's about 2.5 million homes. And all of those homes are not going to get foreclosed on. So a lot of them are going to get caught up. A lot of mortgage companies are already cutting deals with the homeowners where they're taking those back payments and they're tacking them on the end of the note, which becomes out to be, if they can stand it from a cash flow standpoint, doing that turns out to be an incredibly profitable thing for the bank or the mortgage company. So there's not going to be this massive amount of foreclosures dump on the market and crash the market. It's just not reality, but there are going to be opportunities that come up as this market starts to cool, much more so than it is simply because the moratorium on foreclosure and eviction has stopped. So if you know how to adjust, you're going to be in a position where you're always doing more and more deals. And that's good for you. That's good for us. That's good for America. And so one of the things that I'm so passionate about when people start raising private money is that they do it the right way so that they don't ever have any issues with the SEC. And there's a lot of I just call them cowboys out there that are slinging terms around left and right and putting private money deals together. And at some point, they're likely to find themselves in a world of hurt because they're breaking SEC rules a lot of times without ever knowing that they are. And as you know, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. So again, structured over 100 million in private money deals and can show you the secrets of, now I call it the private money bank and how to open it. Guys, so if you understand that, you just step away from the business and go, I never have to worry about, do I have enough money to do a deal? Do I have enough money to do any deal that I want to do? Whatever size it is, once you learn the strategy behind it, the techniques can adjust as we go through time and as market conditions change, but the strategies stay the same. So if I understand the strategies of what's going on in the money world and I can deal with that, then I can do whatever. If I want to buy a hotel, we can put the deal together for that. If I want to buy, the gentleman talking about, he does subdivisions. If you want to buy a subdivision, you can do that. If you want to buy a 500 unit apartment complex, a grade A, high-end apartment complex, you can do that because you understand the structure, the strategy behind what makes those deals work and what makes putting it together work. Now, one of the, Royce Ann and Cheryl, just two ladies, these are our two nurses that became business partners. And they were like, well, we think we want to do one of those rehab things. And we hear you're the guy for that. And I said, well, thanks. And they came into my consulting program. And so this is the first property I found them for them. And this was literally when we walked in, this is what we saw. Now you see, it's got a slate floor in it. So what are you thinking? Well, obviously it was some investor who wasn't funded properly, lost the property back to the bank in the middle of the rehab. So I was giddy because of like, hey, the demolition's already done on this deal. They got the floor started already in the kitchen. That's terrific. And so we bought the property, and this is just the family room right off of the kitchen area. And then this is what the kitchen looked like when we finished it. And they were just ecstatic. Now, they were ecstatic for a couple of different reasons, but one of them was that they wanted to be able to do this. They wanted to be able to learn how without them doing anything. And we stress with our folks all the time, look, the only thing you need to be doing is making phone calls and writing checks. You don't ever need to pick a hammer up. And if you ever saw my carpentry skills, you would know why I'm that way. So we're always telling them, hey, look, here's how you do this thing to make it look like this from what it looked like. And so that, and here's the other room. There's those French doors there. And so that it becomes a gorgeous property and you get the proper pricing for it. And they were just ecstatic with the way it turned out. Now, the other piece that they were ecstatic about was how their checking account turned out after this deal was done. After they paid all their fees, their real estate commission, their title, their closing, everything, their cost of funds, everything, they walked away with over $41,000 that the two of them split. And so that's a significant check. You know, that's a good check. Think about that again in the course of, can I do that quarterly? And, you know, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to do 50 properties this year. And I'm like, well, you know, good luck on that. How many have you done last year? Well, I hadn't done any yet. Well, you may want to start with one first. So we're great with getting you over one. If you've done a few properties and you want to get to doing 10 or 12 properties a year, then we'll sit down and we'll go through your business and show you what kind of structuring you have to do to get there. Rob and Nancy Fain, who are consulting clients of mine out of Vegas, they run 50 to 60 flips a year and started out. It took them almost 6 months to do their first flip. And I finally broke through with getting them to listen to, step aside from what you think you know, and listen to not just me, but listen to people that have been there before and are doing it at a very different level. And if you do that, then you can expect to have similar results. Well, within 2 years, they were doing 50 to 60 a year. They've done that for several years now. They're making just enormous amounts of money. And it starts with, I mean, think about this. If you're doing this and you're picking up 5 of these or 6 of these a year, if you went from doing one every 4 months, so you did 3 your first year, that's $120,000 plus. Then the second year you bumped in and you started doing, maybe you did 4 or 5. If you did 5 the second year, you're at 200 grand. You're at 200 grand that you can do on the side if you understand how to systematize your business. I sit down with investors all the time that they want to look at my business. I'm like, great, come hang out with me. And so we'll be at lunch, and I've had a couple of my consulting clients that Bill, we want to shadow you. I'm like, okay, it's going to be pretty boring, but come on. And so they come into the office with me, and typically I spend an hour to an hour and a half early in the morning working on my real estate investments. And it's kind of done. And we get to lunch and they're like, so this is not a normal day, obviously. I'm like, I know I was really busy this day. It really isn't kind of a normal day. They're like, wait. You hadn't done squat. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't do squat because you don't have to if you understand how to systematize your business. If you understand the key things that you're supposed to do and you don't get wrapped up in all the minutia that can just drag your day out, can drag your timeline out, can drag your cash flow out. If you understand where to focus, there's that old saying, you've heard it a million times, but I'm one of the few people that actually teach you how to do this about, well, you know, you need to own your business and not in your business. I heard that so many times I wanted to puke as I was coming up in the business, but nobody ever explained to me what that really means. And I was talking with one of my mentors one day, a guy that you would know. I was talking to one of my mentors one day, and he said, well, here's the thing. And he sat down and walked me through about the difference that makes. And it changed my business like that. And it's changed my business forever. And it's put a stupid amount of money in my life through the years based on understanding what it is to work on my business and not work in my business. If you go and you're literally caught, I caught one of my consulting clients cutting the grass on one of his properties. And I just happened to be in the neighborhood, and I swung by to just kind of see how it was coming along. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And I was like, dude, you can't be doing that. It cost you too much money. And we had that same conversation. When you understand that, these kind of checks become a regular occurrence when you're applying systems to your business. So, and again, it's always back to how would that impact your family? Because what you and I do, this game is not really attractive to a lot of young people. Some, yes, but not a lot. Most of the time we're kind of 40s and up when we really start getting serious about getting in the real estate business. And it's because of some core desires that we have. Yeah, we all want to make a lot of money, but it's what the money can do for us is really what pushes us. We want to be able to take care of our kids. You may be like me. I've got a 30-year-old, I've got an 18-year-old, and I've got a 15-year-old. My 18-year-old is a sophomore at Oklahoma. My 15-year-old is a sophomore in high school. So I'm looking at, okay, I've got one in college right now. In 2 more years, I'll have another one in college. And the one that's there will just be getting out. I got to look at that. All 3 of them went to private school their whole lives. And those are the kind of things you look for. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you that there are things that make you want to go out and do the business. That's why if you have a regular job, why you get up and go, so you can provide for that family. So you can provide for your kids, your spouse, your grandkids. And so you can provide legacy. That's something that we push a lot, is to think about and write down and structure, what do you want your legacy to be? And when I know what I want my legacy to be, how do I build a plan to get there? Because look, real estate is a vehicle. It is not the be all end all for its own sake. It is the vehicle for you to do the things that God puts you on this planet to do. There's a plan that he has for you that helps the kingdom. And what he wants you to do is what he designed you to do. And if you understand that, your life changes dramatically. And look, everybody's not cut out to be a pastor. That's not the way it works. We got to have plumbers and electricians and real estate investors and everything else to make the world go around. But he wants you to do it in an incredible fashion, and to do it where it's absolutely amazing and that you impact your kids. It's even biblical. The Bible says that you're worse than a non-believer if you don't take care of your children and your grandchildren. So that is what we try to help people do, build legacy, and what that means to your family. Tony Robbins, another mentor of mine, one of my favorite statements of Tony: most people overestimate what they can do in a year and grossly underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. So I want you to think about a little bit where you were 10 years ago. I do a 2-year thing as well, but think about where you were 10 years ago. So 2011, the real estate market was just stinking. It hadn't turned yet. It was about to, but it hadn't turned yet. It was just a mess. And people were just grumpy. And then suddenly things changed. It's going to change again. It's going to change again. It's going to change again. If you understand this game, like I said, I picked up DFW Properties in 2010, and I had friends that were going, why in the world would you buy a real estate company now when real estate is in the tank and there's no signs of that changing? I'm like, because that's when you buy real estate. That's when you buy real estate companies. That's when you do it. You don't buy it when the market's ripping and roaring, not if you're wanting to make money with it. So Tony says, and Scott and I share a guy that we know, a guy named Russell Brunson, who 5 years ago started a company that's now running about $180 million a year. That's a high percentage of cash flow in it. Out of nothing, I met a guy named Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu, you may not know his name, but you know his product likely, which is Quest nutrition bars. Tom went from startup, 0 sales, to selling that company for $1 billion in a little over 4 years. And so you look at those things, what is it that I can achieve and not get caught up in, it's got to be this month, it's got to be this year. What is it that I can achieve over a little bit longer time? And as you get a little bit more mature in life, as most of us are on this call, I'm probably the oldest guy on the call, but we're not spring chickens anymore. And with that maturity comes perspective. And when you understand how to apply perspective to your real estate business, one of the things that can do is you can take the fear out of taking action and moving forward. I meet so many investors that They're just afraid to pull the trigger. And they're afraid to pull the trigger because they don't have the base foundation under them to know I've made the right decision. The numbers work. I'm a harp on numbers all the time. The numbers work. This is the right decision. I don't have any fear in moving forward. And so we want to push that so that you have the ability to take action on a consistent basis. And when you take action, other people will come along and take action with you. So you have the time to be able to build your business. And again, I talk about how little time it actually takes to build a successful real estate business when you're focused on the right things, the decision-making process, that we're not looking at what am I doing to stay busy? What am I accomplishing? What result did I get? I'm real result oriented. I'm real process oriented. I want to know what result did I get today? Not just, man, I had one of my clients was, I got tickled with her. She was just freaking out over what in the world to name her LLC. And I'm like, nobody cares. Other than you, nobody cares what your name of your LLC is. She's like, what? I'm like, this is that thing. You're getting wrapped up in inertia and it's costing your business because your time should be out here making offers and nothing else. So if you know that you can be confident that you're not making the wrong decision and that you're not going to lose any money because you're making the right decisions, so you understand the numbers, you're going to do it and you can do it. And you'll continue to move forward. You got to have the guidance from the right coach to keep you moving forward like that. So I want to do a quick introduction to a system that we call Deal a Day. And I mentioned you met Ron and Lorraine, Ronquillo, David and Lorraine Ronquillo on the very front end. They're in the Deal a Day system. You met Bob Richnew and Royce Ann and Cheryl, and you'll meet some more people. So what they're looking at, they got involved in Deal a Day so that some of them didn't have great credit. And the real estate business and the funders in the group tonight know this. Great credit helps. Absolutely, it does. But it's not the be all end all. It doesn't mean that you can't do deals in this business if you don't have great credit. So here's what the Deal a Day system is all about. We start off with 3 days in the truck with me. So I Lincoln Navigator, we hop in the truck and there's 6 of us, me and 6 of you in the truck, and we go out and buy property. We're not going out and looking at property. We're going out and buying property. So because on a brokerage firm, we've already got all the properties pulled and the numbers are working before you ever go see them, because that's what we look at. You're never buying any of our deals. You're not buying my deals. You're just buying property that we find in the MLS. And look, you hear a lot of folks talk about, oh man, you can't find any good deals on the MLS. Well, if you can't find good deals on the MLS, you don't know much about real estate. But first of all, 97% of all property is listed on the MLS. So if I'm going to look for property, I want to go where the biggest amount of property is. And then it's just a filtering system to understand what is it that I need to get to so the properties that I find are more apt to be profitable for me. So we literally go out 3 days in the field. We do a guarantee of that we're going to make offers on property. We're going to get in and see at least 20 properties in those 3 days. 3 days. Am I going to teach you all the things to look for, how to pull those properties, what you need to do to them? Absolutely. But it's field experience. And that's something that experiential learning is the single most successful form of learning that has ever existed. That's why doctors have interns. That's why apprentices come along with when you have attorneys and stuff. They all have some form of apprentice program, because that's where success happens, is being able to have experiential learning. So we start off with that, and that the 3 days in the truck, that is a $25,000 program. And we've done that for years at 25, and we continue to do that. It's a heck of a bargain at that when you think about everything that you learn. Then we couple that with 2 days in a private workshop. Now, that private workshop is not individual. It is only the people that are in the Deal Today program, and that would $14.95 is what that workshop would sell for individually. So we got 3 days in a small group, no more than 6, out in the marketplace. Then we come back, and not necessarily immediately, it may be 2 or 3 weeks, could be 30 days later, we do an additional 2-day training. Now that 2-day training is classroom. We'll break down a whole bunch of things that we saw, things that you're still looking for. Again, that's a $14.95 program. So we're up to $26,495. Then you got to have some additional training that you can do on your own to deepen your knowledge in the real estate world. And I had built a home study course based on my national best-selling Wall Street Journal and Amazon book, Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? And in that, the core of that home study course is a live 3-day event recorded. So think about this. You've got 3 days in the field in the truck. Then you've got another 2 days. Now it's live. If you can't be there live, then you can join us online, but either live or online. Another 2 days, and that's a separate content, ties all together. And then the Dumb Enough home study course is a different training. That's another 3 days. So you've got 8 days of training right off the bat there. Now that totals out to $27,990. Here's what the home study course looks like. It's a 16 CDs. It's a 358-page manual. Then you get all the PowerPoints, all the notes that go with it. Now you get a copy of the book, of course. And then one of the things that people love there is I have a CD in there that's called Stop Gambling with Your Investment Dollars. And that's where I teach you private money, but I do it in a way that's very different than the way most people teach it. I'm not teaching you a script to say. I'm presenting private money on your behalf. So literally, my clients take that CD, they burn copies of it, and they hand them out to prospective people that are looking at being private money, and they let me do the private money presentation to their prospective lenders. It's been extremely successful with that. So we have that home study course, $14.95, and then that totals out at $27,990. And then on top of that, I have 26 hours of video training that I did called the Real Estate Summit. And literally it's 26 hours of video. Well, 26 hours of video in a seminar environment is a little over 4 days. So this is a massive amount of content of every aspect that you can think of, every aspect that I've learned over the last 30 years, and all the incredible mentors that I've had and all the incredible people that I've had the pleasure of working for, working with, and having the ability to work with as clients as well, learning from all of them. So the 26 hours of video training, that package sells separately at $14.95, bringing our total value up to $29,485 on that. And then this is what the summit videos look like. And then consulting calls. When you go through any kind of training program, and I've worked, I've had a buddy that said, you don't need to say that. There may be people that don't like Donald Trump on your training. And I'm like, I don't really care. I spent 3.5 years consulting for Donald Trump on training speakers for their organization. And so you got to have ongoing process. I also did that for Robert Allen and Russ Whitney, Ron LeGrand, a bunch of other people. So you have to have ongoing consulting in any program that you look at, so that when you get into a position where you're just stuck on something, you can pick up the phone and call somebody. Now, when I do consulting calls, they are with me only. I have a lot of team members. I don't bring them in on the consulting calls. Those are done by me and me personally. So those, if we were to sell those individually, and we don't, we would sell them at $300 a piece. You get 4 of those, that's $1,200. That brings our total value on our package up to $30,685. And I just think that's so crucial to be able to have somebody that you can pick the phone up and call and answer any questions that you've got. Now, there's 2 more pieces to this package here. And then one of them is the private money vault and how to open it, $247 value. This is 6 hours of private money training, all the forms that go with it, the scripts that go with it, how to track money, how to make sure that the people that lend you money have all the documentation they need. One, so they're safe, so you're safe, so that when it comes around to tax time for both of you, you've got the things that you need to be able to hand off to your CPA going forward. And then the last thing, and this is what that looks like. So you've got DVDs in there, you've got 4 DVDs, you've got some videos in there, and you've got additional training that go along with that. And the very last thing on there is called Properties in Your PJs. And Properties in Your PJs is a system that I developed over the years, proprietary system, just like Private Money Vault, proprietary system where you can go evaluate any market in the country sitting at your desk, in your PJs, on your couch, and be able to do it in a way that you understand that particular market so that you know what you're meeting. The first time I went to Vegas to buy property, I had gotten a referral from a real estate agent there. And so I called the guy and said, hey, I'm going to be out in a couple of days. You want to spend some time together? I want to buy some property. He goes, yeah. Tell me what you're looking for. And I said, well, based on my research, I've got 5 subdivisions that I want to look at. Here's the square footage I'm looking for. Here's the price range I expect to pay. Before you say anything about that price range, the only way to get that price range is for those properties not to be in market condition. I understand that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And so we get through it, and he was like, wow, how many times you been to Vegas? I said, well, to buy property, this will be my first. He goes, well, how'd you do all that? And I said, well, there's a system. And if you're a professional investor, you have those systems. And this is that system. I call it Properties in Your PJs, because it is just, it's a fun way. And you can literally look at any market in this country and not be afraid to go into it, because when you go through the system, you understand that market. So that brings our total package up to $31,029. Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask you to pay $31,000 for that. Scotty and I were talking. I said, I'm going to put together this deal, Scotty. I call this my stupid offer. And he said, what? And I said, yeah, I call it my stupid offer. He said, why do you call it that? I said, well, because I'm probably stupid making it, but on the same token, anybody that doesn't take it might be in the same boat there with me. So I might not be alone there. But if you're the kind of investor that has ever had trouble pulling the trigger on property, this will get you over it. If you're a dabbler and you're really wanting to scale your business and get serious about this thing, this will get you there. And if you haven't had the complete skill set to be able to really ramp your business up, this is one of those pieces that'll get you there. Now, when I built this, I really built it for this couple right here. Investors who have spent anywhere from 20 to 50 grand, and a lot of them haven't done a single deal yet. And almost all of them haven't built a business yet. Almost every one of the clients in my consulting practice, which is pretty decent, they've all done this somewhere else. They've all gone to some other program, put out $20, $30, $40, $50,000, and it didn't get them, I call it over the hump. It didn't get it there. And so that's what we focus on, is how to get you over the hump and push it. We do some things that are very different, including we do some guarantees that are very unique to the real estate industry. So you might be thinking that you can't get started because it just costs too much. It's just too expensive. And I don't know where the real estate market's going. Well, we're going to tell you where the market's going. And here's a special offer that Scotty and I put together for tonight. The $31,029 tonight. There's 2 pieces to this. There's a cash piece, and then there's a paper piece. And I'm going to tell you what the paper piece is. So the cash piece of it is $5,850. So it's a $31,000 package, and it's 8 days of training with me, some of it live, some of it by video, some of it by audio, and additional training materials that go with that, $5,850. And then here's the paper piece of that. I'm going to ask you to sign a video release where we can film you as we're out doing this. We're going to ask for some testimonials. That's the only way I can afford to do this at 5850. And look, if you're a partnership, you're a husband and wife, if you're business partners, this is for one person only. At this kind of pricing, I can't do couples in there, or can't do business partners. This is for one person only at that price, but you have to do the talent release is what it is. If you hadn't been a film star, well, you're about to be. So you got to do a talent release to go along with that. 50/50. How you get started with that, you go to billsdealaday.com. No hyphens, no punctuation of any kind. billsdealaday.com. That's the single pay environment. Now, Scotty came up with something that's absolutely fabulous. And I said, dude, we got to do that. And he said, I want you to split the payment so that if somebody can't pay the full thing to get moving forward, they've got a split pay option. And that's the split pay option. 2 payments at $31.25. There's one would be obviously tonight, squaring you away. And then the other one would be in 30 days. There is only going to be 12 of these total. And so all the replays going out. And if you've been around Scott for a while, you understand that the massive audience that he has reach, the replay is exponentially larger than what happens in the live environment. That's why he always can have guys like me and Arnie and everybody else come in that you look at and go, well, it's a small crowd. No, it's not. It's a huge crowd because it's the replay. And that's why all of us come there. So 2 payments at $31.25. Again, we're only going to do 12 people. What that is that's 2 turns in the truck, because I'd like to do one here in Texas and I'd like to do one in Florida. You let me know where you want to go. We'll go there and we'll get dates coordinated. And that's the most fun of it, is putting the dates together and then seeing people's business change. And what we do with this, when we're doing Texas, now I can't do this in Florida just yet, but my network in Texas is strong enough that we can guarantee you when you come into the program that you're going to get a deal in your deal a day program. Just like the people that you've met, just like they've done, you're going to do that. And we do a guarantee with that. And the guarantee is this: if you don't, when we're doing that 3-day, then I continue to work with you until you do. So it becomes a huge profit center for you. So look at single pay option again is billsdealaday.com. The split pay option is Bill's Deal a Day Split. And so you got a single pay and a double pay there. Scotty, we got any questions tonight?
Not currently. Got a few requests for the book earlier on. We'll get those.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get that to you, Scott, and everybody that's on here. We'd be more than happy to get them a copy of the book. So here's what you have to look at is what's been holding you back and what's going to change for you. So you look at what have I got to do differently in my real estate business to have the remainder of 2021 and to have 2022, 2023 be different than what we've gone through so far. And throughout history, this is the time when the most money has been made. When the government, the social world that we live in, when there's been massive amounts of turmoil, that's when the most money has been made. I'm sure you've heard other speakers say this. I use it all the time. I'm not the only one. But there were more millionaires created in the Great Depression from a percentage of people than any other time in our history. And you already know most millionaires come from the real estate world, and you got to get ready for, we're not through the turmoil yet. I'm sure you're paying attention to all the political stuff that's going on and will continue to go on for a while. And that creates turmoil. We're getting inflation. We haven't begun to see the amount of inflation that we're going to get. And real estate is one of those incredible hedges against inflation. So it's one of the things I tell people about all the time, because housing is not an option. Everybody has got to live somewhere. It's a necessity. I get in these debates with stockbrokers all the time. And look, that's where my professional training started, in the investment banking world. And I say, I used to be there. Real estate is significantly more important because it's bigger than the stock market. And because it is a necessity. Everybody has got to live somewhere. So Scott, just holler at me if we end up with any questions. But I just want you to think about what would it be like if you and I were to do a couple of deals together over the next few months and you were getting those checks like we saw. But more importantly than getting just one or two checks, you had the system in place to be able to repeat that again and again and again and again through the years, and what that could mean for you and your family. I'm going to go through the components of that one more time, Scott, unless you have some questions, and you just holler at me if you do. 3 days in the truck, it's 25 grand. And that is literally, those are long days. We hump it. This is not, we sit and drive by and look at stuff. We're in and out of the truck all day, in and out of properties all day. And you're understanding on the grassroots level, boots on the ground, what the real estate business is all about, whether you want to be a wholesaler, a flipper, whether you're looking at, look, if you're looking at multifamily, you still got to know what to do to those individual apartments to make them get that high rate of rent, because we do a lot of rental property as well. So we go through all of that in those 3 days. It's a constant. Now, when we're in the truck, it's training. Then we get out in the field and we're back in the truck, and it's more training and more training. So that's 25,000 for the 3 days. Then there's the additional 2 days. I call that the pull it all together event, because what it does is it takes where you are and we look at where you're trying to get to. You've done the 3 days now out in the field, and then we take these next 2 days. And most people try to do this when live with us. Certainly, if you can't make it in, we carry it online. It's simulcast online, so you can do it that way as well. But it's the pull it all together. It's the tie it up in a nice bow. And then it's all about being able to learn how to do it the right way, learning firsthand. Somebody's been doing it for, I wasn't around when God made dirt, but it wasn't too long after that he asked me what I thought of it. So then after you get those additional 2 days in there, you've got all of the digital material that goes along with that. So you understand what the systems are, why they are built the way that they are, and why we execute them in the order that we do them in, so that you can stay focused on results and not inertia, and you don't get caught up in all of that. And again, this is all about, as Tony Robbins likes to say, turning decades into days. How you're able to take what 30 years means to me and be able to turn it into several days of training for you, condensed so that it's drinking out of a fire hydrant. And it is intense stuff. We have a ton of fun. Don't make sure that we understand that. It's a ton of fun, but you're going to learn a lot. Make sure you got comfortable shoes, because we're going to be moving a lot, and we get out in the field. And that's the thing. You get the 2 day additional, that's at $14.95. You get the 3 day home study course. That's an additional $14.95 with that. We've sold couple of thousand of those individually at $14.95. And we just get incredible results out of it. We also have some online updates with it. So when things change, instead of me going out and recording new DVDs, we simply go in and reference it back online, which is a private site for people that own the home study course. And we go in and update it there. And then the private money vault, this is just something that I just absolutely love this product, because it changes so many businesses. And if you understand how to structure financially a deal, when I went into Merrill Lynch into investment banking, I started in my early 20s. I was in television. I had a TV show that I created and was nationally syndicated, ran 5 days a week, mostly on NBC affiliates, 5 days a week. Ran for 3.5 years, and then it died. And when television dies, there's not too many MASH and Friends and Seinfelds that you have a big celebration and it's gone. When 99% of television dies, it's on one day, it's gone the next day. My show died quickly. Once it started dying, it went from being in over half the nation to off the air in less than 6 months, just gone. And so I was like, wow. I need to learn how to structure money. Where do you go to learn how to do that? You go where the money is. Well, at that time, I thought the money was all at places like Merrill Lynch, and I learned some great financial structuring there that has been incredibly helpful in the real estate business. And I apply that in the private money vault and how to open it, so that you always have the most amount of money that you need to do any kind of deal. And we also now put together a package for you so that when you're going with more traditional lenders, you know how to put that package together before you ever walk in. You've got everything that they're going to be asking for already done. And believe me, it makes a big difference with banks and mortgage companies and commercial lenders. You don't look like a rookie. You know what you're doing. You've got your packages structured and put together correctly. And prospective lenders absolutely love that. You get your consulting calls. You get 4 of those. And those are typically 30 minutes on the short end, hour max, so that you have the ability to be able to go out and do, not get stuck anywhere, do more and more deals. Properties in your PJs, again, evaluating markets nationwide from your laptop, desktop. Again, the whole package is $58.50. And then you can go to billsdealaday.com or billsdealaday.split.com. Scott, what can I do for you, brother?
2 questions. One, when are the dates for the Dallas training? And another question is what market in Florida do you know?
Okay, so what we do in the Texas market is we find out who all is involved and where they are. Now, we do the Dallas-Fort Worth market because of the team that I have here. So people come in, we're going to come back and canvas everybody that gets involved. And we've got some other people that are already signed up for these. And we come back and say, okay, so here's the dates that work for you. And we put that together so that everybody is happy with a date. And it usually takes us a couple of days to have, and it's one of the things one of the team members does, puts that scheduling together. So it's a little bit flexible on the dating. I like to do that within 30 days of coming into the program. That's kind of my outside window. I really like you to get moving quickly so we can get that momentum building for you. Then on the Florida market, we do Miami and we do Orlando. So it really just depends on what markets that you like there. I have a business partner in Miami. And then I also have one of my primary team members lives in Orlando that's been with me for 15 years, I guess, and does a lot of investing there. So we do those 2 markets, Miami and Orlando.
Great markets. Yeah, those are phenomenal for what you're doing. And then
fun stuff. Fun stuff.
Yeah, definitely out there. Have you had a record set as far as how many properties somebody's bought in your training at one time?
Yes. I have had a record set. The record for deal a day is 5. And if you're new, that may not sound like a big deal. If you've been around the business for a while, getting 5 deals accepted in 3 days is pretty impressive. That's 5 deals with one person. That's my record.
That's good.
It's 5. Yeah. It was really funny. I've done that a couple of different times, and there's been a couple of times I have gone and done this in Vegas. And I went to Vegas and had a client out there, and he lived in Vegas. And so I took a group out, and he joined our group when we were there, and we started putting deals together. And he had some, as I had mentioned, most people that I've had come into my consulting program have been somewhere else first. And it's created they knew this is the right thing, real estate. They just weren't in the right spot. And so they were looking at, okay, Bill can fix that for me, I believe. And so they came to the consulting program, and he was one of those. And some of the other stuff he had learned started seeping into the offers that we were making. So he called me one day after I had gotten back here, and because we do a continuation with that so that we keep following up and moving forward, even after the 3 days is ended. So we're moving forward. And he goes, man, I got to tell you something. I made 150 offers and didn't get one of them accepted. I'm not thinking this works. And I said, well, first of all, why in the world would you ever make 150 offers and not call me first? Don't ever do that again. You can't make 150 offers and put any thought into it. Yeah, I hear guys on stage say that kind of stuff all the time, and just it makes me want to puke because it's bad information. You just can't do it. And I said, what's going to happen is you'll burn your bridges with real estate agents because they know you're just lowball spitballing numbers. You haven't put any thought or work into it, but yet you want them to go out and put their work into it. I said, so here's the deal. Why don't you pick out like 10 of them, pick 10 of them out and fax them over to me, scan them over to me. Let me look at them. And so I can at least check your numbers, because even not using the system correctly, gee, 150, you ought to have something there, dude. Now there's some mistake that's going on. So he picks out 10 just randomly and sends them to me. I go looking through them, and the first couple I look at, I'm like, well, it's a little confusing because the numbers look pretty decent. I'm surprised that he's not getting any bites here. And then I get to the very last page, and he had literally 16 contingencies on an attachment. And I called him and I'm like, dude, what in the world? He said, well, that's what you said, dude. I'm like, no, you go back and you read everything I gave you. You go through all your notes. I never, ever, 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 ever said that. And these contingencies are telling every possible seller that you're more interested in getting out of a deal than you are getting in a deal. If you want to buy some property, resubmit these offers, simply tear off the attachment page with all the contingencies and see what happens. And about 3 days later, he called me back in a complete panic because he had not bought investment property yet. And he was another guy that had gotten 5 accepted at one time. And he was like, what do we do? What do we do? And I was like, well, now we put the funding together for it. And so that's been 4 or 5 years ago now, still in the business, still in Vegas, doing well. A lot of fun stuff.
Good stuff. Joanna Zhang asked a question. Does your deal guarantee apply to Florida as well?
I'm sorry. Does it, the guarantee on making sure you get property done?
Yes.
Yes. If it's in those two markets, yes. If it's in Miami or Orlando, yes.
Yeah. Good stuff there. Joanna, I think it's Orlando. Awesome.
Yeah. I get down to Orlando pretty regularly. In fact, I'm going to be down there starting on the 21st. I'm going to be down for a few days, packed up, got some crazy, going to be doing a lot of stuff down there. Love it, love it, love it. And like I said, one of my business partners is down in Miami, and we're buying a 8-unit resort in Miami right now, right outside of Miami.
Yeah, there's the 2 hot markets, definitely. And
it's fun stuff.
Florida is my second home to Texas.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Good stuff there. Well, cool. Another question online. How good is I always hate when people ask me this question. How long is this pricing good for?
We hit 12 people. It's done.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
That's how long it's good for. We've got
a couple of people have signed up already. So
we've got 3 that have signed up in the last week. Just me doing some stuff online, not webinars, just doing some email stuff. So it'll fill up fairly quickly, but I really, once we hit this, you won't ever see this pricing again.
Yeah.
That's not a ploy. I've been around a long time. I don't play the game like that. It'll be gone and it won't be coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to come on and offer.
Yeah, man. My blast.
Bill.
What a hoot.
Exactly. Great stuff there. I tell you what, when you finalize this class, let me know. I might make it appearance.
Absolutely. And look, anybody that's sitting on the fence, do not worry about the scheduling. We'll make it work where it works for you. We may have to both stretch a little bit to make it happen, but through the years, I've done a ton of 3-day consultings through the years. I've been doing those for about 15 years now. And it's been, I bet I hadn't had 5 people that over the course of a couple of months anyway, we weren't able to find a time that was appropriate for them and appropriate for me. So, and if that happens, then we write you a refund check and off we go.
Exactly. So guys and gals, take them up on the opportunity here, guys. Get rock and rolling. Bill's got amazing stuff, amazing training. As you've heard, somebody who's trained and worked with a lot of the top of the top, and been consultants for the top of the top out there as well. So you're in good hands. You're in good hands with Bill, everybody.
There you go.
Good stuff. Well, there's no other questions online or in person, we're right after 8 o'clock. We will wrap it up then for the evening. All right, Bill?
Super. Yeah, that works for me. Thanks so much, Scott. I look forward to it. Hey, you guys jump on the replay and hear it there as well. And I may have a little surprise for you, Scotty. I'll call you later on. It may be tomorrow. I'm actually going to go pick my 15-year-old up here in just a minute. He's on a date. So they're doing a movie tonight. So I got to go pick him up here shortly. But I'll call you in the morning with a little surprise that may be fun for everybody.
Sounds good, Bill. Well, hey, man, thanks again for coming on here tonight. Guys, once again, those two links are billsdealaday.com for the full paid in full. And then the other one is if you need to split over 2 payments over 30 days, that's billsdealaday.split.com for you. Same program, just gives you a little bit of flexibility if you need that extra 30 days. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Good night now.